Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying a nice and peaceful Sunday. So, what a week we've had, huh? Um, with everything going on and unprecedented um, history making, unreal. And then on top of that, to find out, and I guess not a surprise, that we won't be meeting again for the rest of the semester. I'm disappointed that I won't get to see you. Hopefully, get to see you maybe at some time. But anyway, you just have done a great job, and I really appreciate you've got a lot of things on your plates, packing up, moving back home, everything, and I'm certainly thinking about you. And like I said, you're doing a great job on getting your assignments in. I realized last week was kind of a heavy load. We were covering 2 weeks of classwork, and I apologize for that. And then especially coming up that we would be online for the rest of the year. If I can do anything to help you, please let me know. I'm certainly happy to help out, and I'm certainly thinking of you. I will send out an email with all of this week's assignments. They are pretty much online. I think I might just add one last thing. And on the forums, I did have the questions from the case study, but I know that is redundant on it, and so I did change I just changed the discussion questions on it to be chapter questions. So hopefully you hadn't gotten started on that. I hope not. Anyway, I did want to talk about this week as far as with pricing, why pricing is important. Pricing provides the company the mechanism of obtaining value back from the customers. It's also used to be a segmentation tool. Marketers need to know how to set their prices. They also have to understand how a customer perceives their prices and price changes, like promotions, and to know how that the prices will be received and how prices can affect demand on it. Supply and demand, I'm certain that you probably have taken micro economic classes, and you're familiar definitely with the supply and demand on pricing. But if the firm prices its brand too low, they could probably raise their prices and maybe pull in some more money. If the brand starts out their pricing too high on it, it generally sales would drop off. So it needs to adjust its pricing downward. Then the volume and the sales should pick up, and the company would pull in more money. Pricing is easier to change than the other marketing mix variables, but it also can still be complicated. I'm sure in economics you're familiar with the three economic indicators on price: bread, milk, and gas, good staples that everyone needs. Gas prices at this time certainly are going very reasonable on it. Interesting when you go to the grocery store, can't find toilet paper. Interesting experience how things are off the shelves. So, little plug for international marketing for next fall. I think the international markets are going to be definitely very interesting to see what happens. So, I think that class will be an interesting one to see where we're at next fall. Some of the typical pricing strategies: the lowest price is set by covering the cost and then by adding some margins. The highest possible price is set by figuring out how much a customer will pay and price near that mark. Competitor pricing at a medium level, using the competitor's pricing point and adjusting the pricing on it. The costs inherent to the company also helps determine the low price. The customer will have a sense of the product's value that will also help to determine the pricing high point, noting that what the competition helps determine a sensible intermediate price point on it. Pricing typically vary over the product on it, over the product's life cycle. The willingness to pay across a segment, so a firm might offer differential prices to those in different segments on it. Pricing also plays an important role in sending a signal to the customers, the competition, and the collaborators regarding the positioning and the imaging to the brand. Concept of elasticity, another item I'm sure you have covered in economic classes, but if the company drops the price, they should expect to see a volume increase, and the question if there would be enough additional units to stretch and cover the profit loss due to the price decrease. From a customer's point of view, if a price is dropped or an increase, just how much does that volume decline or increase on it? If it's barely affected, that price is inelastic, whereas if it bounces around, it's elastic. Again, I'm sure you probably have discussed that in other classes. For the purchase of almost anything, there are likely to be two customer segments: brand loyal customers that are inelastic and less price sensitive. They will buy a product, a particular brand, no matter what the cost on it. The price sensitive is going to be quite elastic, and the deal prone generally will run to a competitor when the price goes up on your product. There is a question on that on the chapter discussion questions as to what you possibly have something that you'll pay no matter what the price is on it. So be interested to hear what your reactions are to that. Demand goes up as a function of the customer's desire. The more customers who want the brand with the perception of the brand image, if competitors' brands maybe are not great, if there's few good substitutes on it, or if they're priced higher. Customers are more price sensitive when they don't care about the purchase brand. They really have no brand loyalty on it. Price sensitivity is greater when an item is not a necessity but a luxury. When substitutes can be available, and when the purchase is considered a big one relative to the consumer's income. Covering costs to make sure the firm can stay in business sets the absolute minimum floor on pricing. Very sad to see some of the local businesses where we're at with restaurants, whether they're going to be able to survive the COVID-19 situation on it. Cost plus pricing: if fixed costs are high relative to variable costs, the strategic objective is to maximize the sales volume. If variable costs are relatively high, the strategic objective would be to maximize the per unit margins. A breakdown analysis is a means of figuring out how many units that the firm has to sell before their costs are covered on it. With high prices, the marketers must calculate the upper limit on which people would be willing to pay for the prices. Scanner data familiar with, definitely in retail on it. Scanners are valuable because they can offer precise estimates of demand and price sensitivities at numerous price points. They also are good indicators as to which brands are bought, what quantities bought, the shelf price of the product, the price paid if a coupon was used, the price of the competitors, brand that week, a flag for which any of the brands that were featured in a local newspaper flyer or end caps of the displays in the stores. I find it interesting. Grocery stores are going gangbusters. People that are ordering food online, some of them are maybe a week out. I was just discussing with my husband that Hy-Vee, right now you're not hearing any mention about their fuel saver on it. They're also not offering any kind of deals if you're spending $50 or more to get 25 cents off on gas. They're just so busy, they don't need to do that. So I find it interesting. Perfect time to be advertising their takeout meals for families. Perfect thing for people looking for something different other than their own home cooking or a break. If any of the variables remain consistent, a firm can run an experiment by randomly selecting some of the outlets as a test market and then dropping the price by, say, maybe 20% in some stores and maybe 33% in others. If the price is large, then that 20% discount could be quite effective in stimulating sales. If it's small, then maybe the discount really isn't enough. Or if these customers are not price sensitive, the companies can also use scanner data to forecast their sales as a function of price and include other marketing information that they might have as a control variable to see the effect of the price on it. Survey data also is a good way. Several marketing research tools that can be used to assess a customer's willingness to pay on it. I'm sure you're familiar with or talked a little bit as far as conjoint analysis where customers are shown products with various combinations of features and attributes, pricing being one of them. What combination it would be that you prefer the most. Marketers know that the customers are willing to pay more for what they want, and the conjoint technique also helps detect what attributes are. Sort of is interesting if you get into looking at the customer and the psychology of pricing on it. Walmart, their everyday low prices, definitely familiar with that, I'm sure. On it, customer prices often serve as a cue to quality on it. The consumer or counter to the anticipated economic effect of higher prices might cause a decrease in demand for some products and services. Higher prices can make a purchase seem more appealing on it. People feel that they're really getting a good quality product if it's more expensive on it. For some purchases, customers will use their price as a cue to their quality and implicitly reasoning that the brand can command a higher price because its quality is so good. Customers process absolute numbers and relative numbers differently. Therefore, the $9.99 price seems less expensive than $10. Customers tend to compare the discount amount to the original price of the product. The greater the discount amount to the original price, the more likely that the consumer is going to act, feeling like they're really getting themselves a good deal. The contextual frame in which the information is expressed, like I said, if a cruise maybe is priced at $4.99, another one is priced at $5.99 with a $100 discount, they're going to feel that they will get better quality and more for their money. If there's 3 levels of pricing, say like on a cruise ship, a lot of times people will be more apt to take the middle price, feel that they're getting better than the low price, but maybe not paying quite as much as the high. Cruise ships and airlines, vacations, I think that once this pandemic gets over, I think we'll see some excellent deals on vacation travels for sure. Price discounts can also serve as a mood induction. Customers think that they're a smart shopper when they get a good deal. They always like to tell their friends and relatives when they get a good deal. When they maybe didn't get such a good deal, they're probably not going to talk about it. Again, I mentioned that customers pricing that ends in 9 is more attractive than pricing that ends in whole numbers. I'm sure you're familiar with that too. Consumers also like to kind of keep track what they're spending, doing some mental accounting, figuring out maybe what they're spending in the store. They're trying to reach that $50 limit at Hy-Vee so they get their fuel saver discount. They also will rationalize a compensatory or future pricing on it. Marketers frequently observe the compromise effect. Like I said, if they're giving 2 choices on it, they'll opt for the lower price. If they're given 3 choices on it, a lot of times they'll choose in the middle. So pricing is an interesting strategy. Like I said, we're going through unprecedented times, and I think we'll definitely see very interesting as far as on pricing and promotions for businesses, starting to see more and more sales, gift card offers that are out there. So keep it in mind. I'd be happy if you share anything that you see out there. Do want to give a shout out to Levi. Thank you. He mentioned that right after he did the Methods video, went to go brush his teeth and noticed that his mom had purchased the Methods soap. So that's awesome, and that's kind of fun. The more that you kind of look around and here you see the items or things that we've maybe talked about in class. So again, I just want to thank you. You've done a great job. Got lots on your plates, and I certainly do understand. Wish you nothing but the best. And if there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know. I will put out Sunday evening, like I said, an email just detailing what we'll have for class for this week, and let me know if you have any questions at all. Hopefully you get a chance to get out and enjoy this beautiful Sunday, and we will talk soon. Thank you. Stay safe.